Okay, I'm back to working on the XR. I'm going to reinstall the coil pack, or let's see, what would you call this? A stator? I don't know. Anyways, this thing. I'm going to install that. Of course, now I just said that, so I'm going to get probably a bunch of people posting telling me what that is, right? Alright. So I'm going to install that so I can install the flywheel. And the reason why I want to install the flywheel now is because I don't have the special tool to hold the flywheel, so I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use my, yes, the infamous chisel stuck in the gears. I'm going to use that to keep the crankshaft from moving while I tighten the nut for the flywheel. And this can only go on one of two ways because of the screw holes, and the correct way is with the coil facing up at around 11 o'clock. Oh yeah, and you want to make sure that you route the cable assembly behind this little hook right here. And then what that allows you to do is, once you stuff this strain relief into position, then you can, I gotta take the screw out here, you can put your, after you put the flywheel on, you can put your pickup coil back in position. But I'm going to hold off on that until I get the flywheel on. Gonna tighten the flywheel nut here to 64 foot-pounds. In the previous video I used the chisel in the teeth here. I warned a lot of people that they might cringe at the sight of me doing such a horrible thing, and I guess a few people didn't like it. Well, anyways, got an idea from one of the guys who've been following the forum that I've been posting on. He said an alternative to the chisel would be to find a gear that has the same pitch as the gears that I'm dealing with, spare gear, which I happen to have one from that extra set of gears, and just place it in here like that, and that'll kind of lock in there and hold it from turning while I tighten it. So I'd like to I think his handle, his screen name is Mick Ripper, which I guess that's coincidentally probably the name of McDonald's new breakfast burrito, the Mick Ripper. This nut gets tightened to 30 foot-pounds, and the other thing I missed was the this little screw right here that holds the pickup unit in place. That is tightened to, I forgot how many foot-pounds, I think 4.3 foot-pounds or 6 Newton meters, something like that. But more importantly, this actually is supposed to have Loctite, a thread locking agent on it. Alright, now I'm going to install the new oil screen. This actually has a bevel that stick on one side and then on the other, and the thin side goes in first because the notch that it slides into actually narrows as it goes in. So if you try and force it in the other way, it's not going to want to go in. And it just basically sits in there like that. And now I need to install this little pin that goes in here with a spring, which is right here. It's this. So that's going to sit right like that. And now I've got to put the bearing and the little centerpiece in here where the clutch is. Alright, so now that I've got this little pin here and bearing in place and this in position, I can now put on this case cover. So same thing as I did with the half the case, I'm going to put a light film of RTV sealant on, install the gasket, then another light film of RTV, then the case cover, and then torque down the screws. Oops, I actually forgot I never prepped this case. Never even cleaned it, so I'm going to clean it and get the old gasket residue off of there. Got one more seal to replace, and that's this one here for the Kickstarter shaft. Just big screwdriver and pry it out. Okay, Now my case is all cleaned up and ready to go. After I get all the residue off of the gasket residue off, the last thing I do is I wipe down the surface with a solvent to remove any oil or grease residue that may be left behind. I got the hiccups. Well, anyways, now I'm going to put a light film of RTV on, then the gasket, then another light film of RTV, and then the case. Just cleaning up my hardware. There were a few screws that had some corrosion on them. I wanted to clean those up, and I was counting my screws, making sure I had all my screws ready to go before I started. And then I was doing one last check, and then I spotted something, this locating pin right here. There's another one right here, because this cover is the one I got off of eBay. It's not the original cover. So just goes to show you it's good to make a couple of checks. I would have hated to put this all gooped up with silicone sealant in the gasket and then go to install it, find out I can't get the cover to go on because I've got a pin trying to go in where there's supposed to be a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this pin out of the case. Alright, I've got the case installed. I snug up all the bolts, the crisscross pattern, and I just kind of snug them up. I don't finish torquing them all the way until the RTV sets up a little bit. And this is the kind of brush I like to use. These are, I think they're called acid brushes. But you can buy these from like a woodworker supply catalog. You can get like a bag of 100 for cheap. And it's great because it's just disposable. Woodworkers use them for applying glue. Installing the two other studs here that hold the cylinder head jug assembly and the cylinder head and everything on. Easy way to reinstall these. Take a couple of nuts, tighten them against each other on this end of the stud, and then now I can attach my socket and get started by hand and use my socket to turn it.